All right, let's dive right into this highly anticipated explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really massive new update straight from the PERPs project. Now look, if you've been watching the broader market lately, you know it's a pretty challenging environment out there. But resilient projects, they build right through the noise. So we're going to look at the strategic moves, the ecosystem expansion, and the latest community updates the PERPs team is pushing forward right now to bring some truly tangible value back to their ecosystem.
But before we get into the heavy metrics and the tokenomics, we kind of need to establish the baseline energy here. This bold, unmistakably green visual identity perfectly encapsulates a team that absolutely refuses to stay quiet during a market downturn. They aren't just sitting on their hands waiting for the next bull run to magically appear. They are actively fortifying their brand and their presence across the whole Web3 space.
And honestly, that proactive energy leads us straight into their first major ecosystem update, which is centered entirely around their merchandise. The big overarching theme here is actually kind of counterintuitive, lowering prices while simultaneously raising value. I mean, usually when markets get tough, companies try to squeeze their margins, right? Well, PERPs is doing the exact opposite to ensure their community actually benefits.
This right here is adaptability in action. We all acknowledge the recent drop in the price of ADA, which obviously impacts the purchasing power of the entire Cardano ecosystem. So what's the PERPs response? A project-wide lowering of all merchandise prices. They're making sure that a dip in ADA doesn't suddenly mean their community gets priced out of representing the brand. It's just a really direct, supportive response to current market conditions.
But making the merch more accessible, that's really only half the story. 10%. The project just announced that 10% of all merchandise sales revenue, and that's excluding shipping costs to be clear, is going to be redirected right back into the ecosystem through direct PERP token buybacks. Think about that for a second. Every single physical item bought at these new, lower prices literally creates buying pressure on their native token.
Now, exactly how those bought-back tokens are utilized is where it gets super interesting. It's a perfect 50-50 split. 50% is funneled directly back into staking rewards, which obviously increases the yield for supportive holders, and the other 50%, it's permanently burned. They are literally taking supply out of circulation forever while rewarding their stakers. It essentially creates a highly effective deflationary flywheel.
Section 1. Unleashing Community IP. Let's talk about building together.
So shifting gears from tokenomics to the very heart of the Web3 ethos, community empowerment. PERPs is genuinely putting decentralization into practice by encouraging their holders to build creatively alongside the core team. As the project lead stated, some of the best ideas come directly from the community. This is a firm pivot to a total open-door policy. If you hold their assets, they want you pitching ideas, whether that's merch, software tools, live events, or cool brand collaborations.
In fact, the project lead explicitly stated, "My DMs are open." And this whole initiative was actually sparked by a holder randomly sliding into their DMs with a really fantastic merch idea. So listen, if you're watching this explainer and you've been quietly cooking up some brilliant idea in the shower or during your morning commute, consider this your signal. Reach out. The door is literally wide open for collaboration.
Moving on to Section 2, Fueling the Cardano Ecosystem. This whole community ethos really builds into the macro-level impact PERPs is having across the broader blockchain. Over just the past few weeks alone, they've stepped up to help 3 different Cardano projects with marketing and strategic planning. On top of that, they're aggressively establishing partnerships across some vital sectors. We're talking deep collaborations within NFTs, the meme coin space, and decentralized finance. They are actively reaching across the aisle to act as a fuel source for builders everywhere.
And the underlying sentiment driving all of this outreach is incredibly simple. We aren't giving up. Look, there's no denying it's a challenging market right now, but the PERPs team's dedication, it's totally unwavering. They've stated unequivocally that they're going to keep pushing and keep doing absolutely everything in their power to help Cardano grow. They want to be a positive force for the entire network.
All right, Section 3, the 15,000 ADAs event.
That fierce dedication to the broader network leads us directly to some serious momentum regarding their highly anticipated upcoming NFT event. Now, full transparency here, the team did announce this event has been slightly delayed, but the reason is incredibly bullish. They managed to secure another major partnership that just required a little extra time to integrate. To give you an idea of the sheer scale we're talking about here, there's currently 15,000 ADA sitting in the prize pool, contributed entirely by partners. I mean, they've got a massive treasury lined up for this.
And the most important takeaway here is that this massive event is not just some closed-door VIP party only for PERPs holders. Not at all.
Their goal is to craft a positive, memorable event for the entire Cardano NFT ecosystem. The whole thing is designed to uplift the space, inject some fresh positivity, and reward active participants across the board. You know, the whole idea that a rising tide lifts all boats.
Now, as they orchestrate these massive ecosystem events, the team wanted to take a quick moment to express some very sincere gratitude. They specifically thank their daily active members, everyone who mints perps, the comic supporters, their ecosystem partners, and of course the vital people helping out behind the scenes. They made it incredibly clear, without this very specific, multi-layered support system, they simply wouldn't be where they are today.
But of course, they couldn't wrap up a major update without leaving us with a bit of a tease, right? The message to the community is crystal clear. Keep your eyes on perps. There are still a lot of things cooking behind the scenes. The team openly acknowledged that there are developments actively in the works that they simply cannot talk about just yet. They are definitely keeping their cards close to their chest on this one. Which brings us to our final, highly provocative question to wrap up this explainer. Buried right there in the middle of their update, the team explicitly mentioned they are actively working on brand new utility for the PERP token. So, with the deflationary burn mechanics and the staking rewards already firmly in place for merch sales, we really have to ask, what is this highly anticipated, unannounced new utility? It's a massive cliffhanger, and it means if you're following the Cardano ecosystem, you absolutely need to keep a very close eye on what the PERPs team reveals next.